Welcome back. With me I have Katie Packwood. She's one of the practitioners in our office. So one of the things that you work quite heavily with is helping people to get rid of parasites. Why parasites?
Why parasites? Well, parasites are actually quite prevalent. I know we think in our first world country that people wouldn't have parasites because something we think about in Africa or Central America, but actually parasites are quite a big issue, and a lot of people are really not aware that that could be an underlying cause of some of their problems.
Yeah, because we think, I mean, we're in America, and,
Right.
and somehow parasites, they don't cross borders. You know,
Right.
they
You went on vacation in Mexico, but they didn't come home with you.
Exactly.
But maybe they did.
Yeah.
And actually with people traveling a lot internationally, parasites are more of an issue today than they maybe were historically. But we also have other places we pick up parasites from our pets, from sushi, from gardening. The dogs are out there relieving themselves in the yard, and those eggs can stick around for actually quite a long time in the soil. So we are exposed to parasites.
So I mean, parasites, how do I know if I have parasites?
Okay, good question. Actually here in America, it's actually pretty difficult to get a diagnosis for parasites because unless you see something crawling out of you, we don't have really good labs actually for diagnosing parasites in stool samples.
No.
If something has been out of your body more than 20 minutes, you're not going to find a parasite in there. It's going to be dead by the time it gets under a microscope. So muscle testing that we do in our office is a really great way to actually identify parasites because they're alive at the time we're testing for them, and so we can identify those through the muscle testing. Also, there are certain symptoms somebody might have who has parasites. So,
and what are some of those that?
A lot of digestive symptoms: bloating, gas, leaky gut, inflammation all over the body, joint pain, brain fog, bruxism, grinding the teeth. There can be actually a lot of kind of those fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue. It can go on and on. Those
because
can
I
be
assume
parasites.
they exist in the body and they take our nutrients and then they poop.
Exactly, and that's and they don't go away by themselves. It's not something our immune system's really good at clearing.
No.
Because they are living there at our expense. That's kind of the definition of a parasite. And they eat your food, and they primarily eat up your minerals. So mineral deficiency is actually a pretty strong symptom of a parasitic infection, someone who's chronically low in magnesium and zinc and other minerals. And then the inflammation comes, yes, like you said, they poop inside of you.
Yeah, exactly.
And they cause a lot of stress to the immune system that way.
Yeah, because that poop is our toxic substances, and obviously they use that also to evade like the immune system.
Right. And parasites like to travel kind of in gangs. And you always find parasites when you find other bad, I call them the yeasties and beasties.
So you get the Crips and the Bloods.
Yes, they kind of all congregate together. Candida, parasites, heavy metals, viruses, they like to kind of all hang out together, and they can cloak themselves from the immune system in something called biofilm.
Oh, really?
So actually this would be a good time to show some of our pictures that we had.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
let's pull up one here, an example.
So this is something called a ropeworm, and it's not like a tapeworm. It doesn't have like a mouth or anything like that that hooks on.
Yeah.
But it's basically a colony full of bad microscopic parasites, yeast, bacteria, heavy metals.
This is something that actually came out of a person.
Right.
Yeah.
And often people don't know if they have parasites, but if they were to do something to provoke the parasites out, they might see this. This is actually very common for people who start to do a detox program, especially if it involves enemas.
Yeah.
They might most definitely see something like this come out.
So let's see another one.
This is just another example of a ropeworm. So similar kind of parasitic mucousy colony.
Yeah, looks pretty disgusting.
Yes.
Yeah. So. And
this is kind of like a more immature ropeworm yeast bad thing.
It's just bad. You don't want it.
That's coming out. You definitely have some digestive issues going on.
So I'm glad that this is being played Sunday morning before Sunday
brunch.
Yeah, exactly.
These are liver flukes. So.
And what do you have there? That's like a dime in the middle.
It's a dime in the center. So these are fairly large flukes that. And parasites really love the liver and the gallbladder because there's a lot of food there.
Yeah.
So they can be anywhere. They're not just in the intestinal tract. They can be in the thyroid, they can be in the gallbladder, the liver,
And
the
the brain?
pancreas, the brain. They can actually move all over. And this is a tapeworm, so often you won't get the entire tapeworm out. There are ways to coax entire tapeworms out.
Yeah, you have to lure them out.
Lure them out,
Yeah.
yes. But sometimes people will see the little rice-like segments come out, or people might notice them in their dogs' feces.
So it just looks like little rice, those little
yeah, a
rice
little
that you
grain
can
of
see.
rice. That's a pretty strong indicator you could have a tapeworm.
Okay.
So
what do you do? I mean, a person then suspect they have these symptoms, and I mean, you have a parasite program where you help people get rid of parasites.
right.
What does that look like?
There's several ways you can address parasites. You can do it with herbal. There's some strong herbs that parasites hate, like garlic and cloves, artemisia. We could use those. Sometimes we need to use drugs that are anti-parasitic drugs because parasites can be pretty hard to kill off, and they do have a life cycle. So you might need to do it more than once to hit that life cycle of all those parasites.
So if I do like a week parasite cleanse, would that be enough? Or I mean, what are we talking about to get rid of parasites?
Well, when you consider that parasites lay eggs
Yeah.
and that the eggs have an incubation period and then they hatch,
Yeah.
it's actually probably something you need to do for several months in a
Okay.
row. Parasites like to travel during the full moon.
Yeah.
They'll travel back to the intestinal tract to lay eggs. So doing a parasite cleanse during the full moon period is a chance where you can maybe kill more of them.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more of a process than just going to
It's
the
not a
health food store.
one-time thing,
No.
especially if you have a chronic digestive condition. You've probably had a parasitic infection for a while,
Yeah.
and it might take some concerted effort and time to really get rid of them. And then ongoing, just like we deworm our dogs,
Yeah.
every 3 to 4 months we might need to deworm ourselves.
Yeah, there are actually some studies showing that people that do a parasite cleanse on a regular basis, they just live longer.
Yeah.
So that's something that
It's one of those, parasites are, like the name implies,
Yeah.
they're there at your expense.
Yeah.
So they do just slowly drain the life out of you by
Yeah.
eating your food and by excreting toxins inside of you. So
Yeah.
really taking it seriously and doing something to cleanse them out, eating a lot of garlic. There's
Yeah.
things you can do regularly to kind
to
of,
minimize then
Right.
the chance that you have them. So
exactly.
in reality, most of us have it, but it's just to the extent,
Right.
and it's important to kind of clear it out on a frequent basis so that
Exactly.
we don't have too
And
big
if
of a
you
load.
have a chronic condition where that is a huge underlying factor,
Yeah.
once you get rid of them, it can help the immune system tip back in your favor,
Yeah.
where you have a better defense against the accidental exposure to parasites, because
Yeah.
you can't stop it. We'll always be exposed to
Yeah,
parasites.
yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll be right back.